Hey guys, my name is Stephanie Farron. I'm the Technology Facilitator at Butler High School, and this quick video tutorial is how to create and use rubrics in Canvas. So I'm going to show you the two ways you can create rubrics quickly and easily and how you can grade with them. So I am in an assignment. I've already created it, and my assignment is simply my embedded Google Slides, and I'm going to show you how to add a rubric. Once you've created the assignment and you click Save, then when you're back on your main page, you'll see down below the details for your assignment, what the point value is and what the submission is, but there'll be a button with a plus sign to add a rubric. So we'll click that. We're going to title our rubric. It's a good idea to title it to something that you'll be able to find again. So I might call it a sample here. And then you can add your criterion. You can add as many criterion as you want by clicking the pencil. So maybe I want to look for complete sentences. And I can add point values. So right now I've got 5 and 1. Maybe I want 5 and 3 and 1. I can add a title for it. So partial credit. I can also give a description. I'm going to change this one to full credit instead of marks. And then maybe the 0 will be not demonstrated. So once I do that, I can add another criterion. Maybe my new criterion will be grammar. And then again, I can add my point value by clicking the plus sign. When I get done with this, then I have a couple options here at the bottom. I can have it where I freeform write the comments when I'm assessing my students. Most of the time I don't do that. There's still a box where you can give comments and feedback to your students in a rubric. I always like the second box here to use the rubric when I'm grading. Otherwise, the third one is you can hide the total score from the results, and I don't want to do that. I want to use it. So when I click Create Rubric, it will save my rubric. It will attach it to my assignment. If my assignment value, point value, and my rubric do not match, it will automatically prompt me to change. So now when my students look at my assignment, they will also see the rubric attached to it. And then when I grade, I will see the rubric attached to it. Now this is great, but the con here is that this rubric, this sample rubric I created, I can never make a change to it. It will always be the same when I attach it to other assignments, or it's a little more difficult to make a change. So that's one option. Now I'm going to show you how to do it in outcomes and use pieces of these criterion over and over again. So now I am back into my outcomes, and then I'm going to look at adding outcomes that I then can attach to rubrics. So in this case, I used it for Canvas elements at the beginning of the year as a checklist. I liked making a folder or a group, so that way I can kind of keep them together. If I get too many outcomes, I can see what they are. So what I did was is I went through and I evaluated the things I wanted to look for in people's Canvas pages or Canvas courses. And I chose them. So for each one, I would click the plus sign to create a new outcome. So for example, let's just start with content pages. Then I select it as the most recent score. I can select the point value, and then I can give an example or description. So I'll just click one so you can see it. So if I add an outcome, then I can title it. Maybe I want to look for a rubric this time. And then the friendly name is the name that your students might see if they were looking for it. In your what you see is what you get box is your description of it. Okay, and then down at the bottom, this is the most important thing, is the Criterion Ratings, which again, you have the points and the pencils, so I can add them. I can insert another one. So maybe I want another one in addition to the 3 and the 2. Maybe I want one for 4. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I can title what I want it to be. Partially meets expectations. And then click OK. And then down here at the bottom, the calculation method, it's up to you. I always choose the most recent score since it's going to be used as a rubric and not a decaying average. So I don't have an average of how many times I graded it. So and it just gives you an example of that calculation method, and you can click Save. Now remember, in your outcomes, your students never see these, only you do. So I know it's annoying to see them, and you always want to clean this up if you're a type A personality, but you can leave all of them as much as you want. Now this one I can delete. Right here, you can see I can still edit and delete it because I've not attached it to anything. If I clicked any of my other outcomes, so for example, any two advanced elements, and scroll down, I can no longer delete it, and Canvas will tell me that I can't delete it because I've used it before. So make sure that if you have used it before, that you know that it's just going to stick out there and hang out there. It's not the end of the world, but that delete button will go away just because it's been there. So it actually hasn't been used on the two advanced elements, but it has on the home page. So if you see that students have been graded with it, I can't delete it. So now let's look at how it looks when I go to grade it. So here I am in an assignment. This was our beginning of the year checklist. Our main box in Speedgrader is where I can open your course to evaluate your course content. And if you look on the far right hand side is how I'd grade you. Now normally we just put a grade in the box, but if you notice there's a box now for view rubrics. When I click and attach it, and I can make this a little bigger, I can see my rubric and all of my rubric criterion. So very quickly as I'm looking at a student's work, and I could click this to actually see it, I could simply go in and just mark, I see it, I don't. And it automatically is going to tally what I see. If I want to add a comment, there's a little box that I can type in an additional comment. I do not see. Okay, and then when I update this, the student will see both my comments and feedback as well as my rubric. And so when I finish, then I just click Save. It automatically calculates my total average. The rubric is attached to the student work. So not only do they see what I graded and why, but they see any feedback I give, and it's attached to the rubric and to the work. And additionally, I can add comments down at the bottom. So for example, this student has added rubrics or comments to let me know what I'm looking for and what he is working on, and I can comment back. Remember, comments can be audio, video, an attachment, or just simply a typed comment. So that's really good. Now, if you have a student that you feel like you might not want to grade fairly with them because you see their name, for example, if I know Richard was a trouble student, I can hide the names from myself as I'm grading. So it'll be anonymous grading and I'm seeing the work blind. To do that in Speedgrader, it's the cogwheel. And then you can click hide the student names. So when I do that, I can hide the student names so then they're all anonymous and I won't know what the work is. Additionally, in the cogwheel, there's a couple other things that you might find beneficial. You can have the kids sorted alphabetically by the date they submitted the assignment or the submission status. So if you do it by submission status, that's a great one because you can only see the work that got turned in, not the work that didn't get turned in and it gets a 0 automatically anyway. So there's 3 great tools that you can use to quickly change and adjust how you grade. So that's how you grade. I don't think I showed you guys how to attach the outcomes to an assignment, so let me show you that. So again, I'm on the assignment that I was just on in grading, and I'm going to review or look at my rubric that's already attached. So this is my rubric. I called it the same thing as my folder and outcomes. But when I click the pencil this time, and I'm going to add the criteria, instead of creating them by hand like we did at the beginning of the video, I can actually search for criterion and find outcomes that I've already written and then attach them. So for example, when I click it, it brings me right back to my outcomes, and then I can add the ones I want to add really quickly by just clicking them. So maybe in every assignment, I want to look for a homepage or an overall design. And so I can pop that in without having to change my rubric. I can also search for rubrics that I previously saved. So for example, if I click find a rubric, I can look for ones that have either been written by me or by someone else that have been made public so I can find it. So that's a really quick and easy way to use rubrics in your grading.